Hey, this is Lee coming to you once again from Guitar Wishes here in beautiful downtown Lincoln. The other day we just got back from Duluth, Georgia at the Grinning Elk Guitar Showcase, and we were so honored to get to do an interview with Bruce Kulick, one of my favorite guitar players of all time, and he was such a great guy to us. So enjoy that. It's coming up right now. All right, this is Lee coming to you from Guitar Wishes. We're down here at the Atlanta Guitar Show, and what an honor it is to be sitting across from a true hero of mine, a legendary guitar player. This is Bruce Kulick from KISS, Grand Funk Railroad, so many other things. How you doing, man?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much for joining us. You're down here at the
Atlanta Guitar Show, put on by Grinning Elk, which are some friends of mine from here in Atlanta that I've known for a long time. So, you know, this is an interesting event because in many ways there's a whole community of these dealers and cities that like these guitar shows, and there haven't been many in Atlanta, if ever.
Sure.
And you know, Lee and Ray being from here wanted to do a big one, but they were also really big supporters of bands like KISS and some of the metal stuff, you know, where a lot of the vintage guitar market or the guitar things, you know, it can vary from, you know, ZZ Top to blues to Hendrix and Cream, but not necessarily represent KISS, okay, or Poison or rock bands, you know. So I love that he wanted to do a show that was a little more indicative of the music business too, you know.
Yes.
So with that relationship that I have with him, it was, you know, he asked me about this a year ago. Jeez. And I said, look, I don't know where, you know, if I'll have that weekend available, but obviously we were able to put it together. I was really grateful for that, and the turnout's been great for a very rainy day in Atlanta, you know. And then, you know, I explained to him what I would need to do a performance that would you know, be entertaining for the fans, and at the same time it's still related to guitars and what a guitar show is all about.
Right.
So it worked out really well, and I love the gear that he brought. One of his you know, people that work with him provided the equipment, so it really became a nice event.
Yeah, we just sat through the clinic, and it was brilliant. You sounded great.
Thanks.
The ESP, talk to me about your relationship with ESP Guitars.
Well, I'm one of the earliest guys that started using their guitars. You know, ESP started in Japan. It's a Japanese company, although of course I deal with people here in the States that represent and distribute all the instruments for them that I've also known for a very long time. But you know, look, the metal scene needed different kinds of guitars, especially when you wanted a Floyd Rose and more powerful pickups and a faster neck and bigger frets, you know. So at first it was really cool to play these Charvel Jacksons, you know. And then I did notice that some of his necks felt a little too flat for me, a little uncomfortable for my hand. And ESP was around prior to that, making mostly like kind of Fender copies and everything, and being really big in Japan. But all of a sudden they started to do bolt-on strats, the things I call super strats, even though they called them the M1, I guess metal one guitar. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, I like these. You know why? Because they were based still more on closer to a vintage Fender than a modern metal guitar with the radius. You know, just things about it felt right to me. So I started to endorse them and use them, and quite a bit of I went through a lot of their different models that were popular in the 80s, the Horizon, which I still have some of those and play some. They didn't offer really a Les Paul looking thing back then, but they did have a lot of the Strat designs, you know. So I went through a lot of different M1s, which is like a Strat neck on a body with one pickup. The famous banana guitar that I'm holding on the back of the Crazy Nights KISS record, that's an ESP M1, you know. And I had this multi-swirl finish. It was an idea actually that Paul Stanley came up with that they were willing to try for me, and then it became a model. And I remember when I did some things in Japan for them, I'm at one of their stores, and on the wall they had the Bruce Kulick multi-swirl. You know, I don't even think they knew what to call it. They just called it the Bruce Kulick model. And I'm actually introducing those again. I convinced ESP to let me order them. They don't have to sell any of my stuff. I know with my fan base, you know,
sure.
and they're going to go really quickly. I know it. I only ordered 10 recreations of the banana guitar, and that's from their LTD line because ESP, being made in Japan is very expensive. So for the LTD line, though. I have a particular factory that I really like in Korea that is their top of the line, I feel. So these came out great, and they'll be a little bit more affordable that way.
Are they going to be just the banana, or are you going to go?
The banana one I made very limited, and I'm not making more of them. I might in the future, but I wanted to move on to another one.
Right.
And this one is the multi-swirl. It's like the mini guitars that I've been making, which is another really interesting thing to find that my fans. I've never looked at, as much as, KISS being one of those, they used to blame the Beatles for being a merchandising machine, but I think KISS blew them out of the water, in some ways. But KISS does work with really big companies that know how to, and Gene loves all that. But I've always been a little shy about it, and that's why when I got involved with some interesting merchandise for myself, in many ways I probably way under-ordered what I could have sold, but I preferred it to be interesting and limited anyway, But I'm going to get a little bolder with what I can offer my fans now because I realize that they're supportive of it.
Oh, absolutely. And the guitars you played on the Revenge tour. Now you had a really great white Strat looking. It reminded me of Hendrix's Strat, but the pick guard.
Before you move on from that at all, that originally was a white M1, like the banana yellow one. The banana one got the name from being yellow, but I had a white one, and then on Hot in the Shade I did use it, but then I wanted to keep using it because it's such a great guitar, and thank God I still have it, along with the banana. And all I did was I remember Hendrix once using an early '60s Fender that had a tortoiseshell pickguard, and I thought that was really cool. So I had one put on that guitar. So that guitar did go through 2 tours, which is kind of cool. But it did change, and I finally found, I remember being frustrated that I couldn't find some of those Hendrix photos with that Strat, and sure enough, someone shared one with me. I have it, and that's exactly what that is, and it's still a killer guitar.
Oh, man, sounds amazing, and famously in the eye, on that album cover of Kiss Alive 3.
There's an Explorer.
That's ESP also, correct?
That's a custom shop Explorer. They always have to be careful with certain shapes. They got away with it during certain years before Gibson goes like, hey, that's our model. You can't do that anymore. All those companies that did it, in some ways they did it better during some years of Gibson than they did, And then, of course, Gibson usually got back on track, But, and that one KISS was always known for, like, mirrored pickguards and chrome and stuff like that, which is not a real Gibson thing, really. So that's what I did with that guitar, and I still own that one. It's a killer guitar. I still have the white one too that I used from that, the white Explorer.
Really?
That I used in the I Just Want a Video.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and then the Junior, the BK. I call it the BK Junior, but it's an old Les Paul Junior that was beat to hell with a humbucker in it, and that one sounded really good too live. Lots of the times when people share YouTubes of me, or rather of the band from that era, I watch not so much for the performance. I want to see what guitar did I use, how many songs did I play it, and I'm making notes on it. It's really fascinating. Yeah.
Well, moving on from KISS, one of my favorite bands personally was Union. I was a huge fan of Union. John Crosby, in my opinion, one of the greatest singers of all time. And you guys put out 2 studio albums, and a live album, and there's a DVD also.
Yes.
Now, when you went to Union, your sound changed, and so did your guitar, I think, because you had a signature model at the time from ESP, correct?
Well, I didn't, as much as that was also short-lived because it was too much like an SG, even though it was based more on a BC Rich Eagle, but it was a problem. Honestly, with Union, John and I had no restraints of what we wanted to do, so it was a good chemistry. We were all both influenced by Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, KISS, Motley, whatever, but. I did have the signature model, but I did the drop D thing that was very popular then. Look at Carnival Souls, which was shortly before that. But I did also play one of my Vintage Plus, like the guitar I used at the clinic today. So in many ways, actually, I felt that I could just do whatever I wanted to do. So you said my sound changed, but I just think it was just whatever the song needed, is what I pulled out of my collection.
Well, did you feel restrained in KISS? Did the guys ever say you can't do this or you can't do that?
No, but we grew. You got to remember when I joined the band, they were very interested in me being competitive with current guitar sounds. So the current guitar sounds was Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, flashy, like lead playing, nothing like what Ace would do, or what Ace's influences like Jimmy Page or Hendrix would do, let's say. Sure. So I needed to step that up. But then again, well, of course, when we did Firehouse, I wasn't playing, I wasn't doing any of that. Sure. But I needed to put that in, which I adapted my own way to do some of those new techniques that Eddie Van Halen made so well known. But I did it my way, and I was proud of always still being true to my guitar playing or my style of playing. So I can't really say I invented any of it, but I made it my own. I've always found that I like to try to do that. But then as the band and as music changed, we got a little tired with that. Not every guitar needed a Floyd Rose and fast riffs, and by Hot in the Shade, I think we kind of toned it down. It got a little more back to the roots. The set list changed for the live show. Sure. It got a little more, we went back into some vintage stuff. And then, of course, by Revenge, the Floyd was reintroduced on, actually the yellow and the white guitar got used quite a bit there, but differently, because the material was another level of rock that didn't sound like Asylum or Crazy Nights. So look, I've evolved along the way. I never felt like restrained. Right. I always tried to do the right job for the right project and Absolutely. The right album and the right era.
Yeah, and so you were with KISS for 12 years.
Mm-hmm. And he did his homework.
Yeah. Well, but you've been with Grand Funk.
19 years
19
now.
years.
I know, it's my 19th year, yeah.
And those are amazing shows.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that several times. And,
Great.
It doesn't seem like that you're slowing down at all.
Well, thank you. Well, believe me, it gets harder as you get older. Okay, first of all, the travel is always brutal. You know what I mean? Nothing's easy. I think KISS has it kind of easy with a private jet. Okay, we'll add, but they still work incredibly hard because they do all their meet and greets and they put on a hell of a show. But honestly, it's a lot of the stuff that's hard about traveling and being a gypsy. Where you got to you're living out of your suitcase and you hit some city, and then sometimes you got to travel even way further than the airport, and sometimes it's not an ideal location because we do a lot of outdoor gigs during the summer. Yeah. The casinos are pretty easy, in comparison, but once you're on stage, you forget all the aggravation,
Sure.
of the day's travel and the difficulty getting there, because musicians love to play their instrument and perform. So that part is great, and in that way, but the wear and tear of the road and everything does kind of wear on me. But I really take care of myself the best I can, and I really pace myself with it. So, and I'm realistic about things. Like I could probably do more than what people ask. In other words, if I said yes to everything,
sure.
I'd be, I'm going to Atlanta, so I know there's a store, about 200 miles that wants me to do something. Yeah. I'll do, but I try to make it all work. Right. I balance it out. Yeah. And as you get older, it's really smart. You know what I mean? Because you got to keep it. Real.
Yeah, man. And the playing has gotten better in some aspects. Well, the KISS, the Last KISS cruise, mm-hmm. the Bruce Kulick band is playing songs that KISS doesn't play anymore, right. And it sounds amazing.
Right. Thank you. Look, that was a real challenge to do that. But why would I want to? I'm not going to do Love Gun. You know what I mean? Because you go see KISS, you're going to see Detroit and Love Gun and Rock and Roll All Night. There's so many great songs from my era to represent. Now, some of that stuff's hard because playing, stuff that when I was in '85 and I'm a lot younger mm-hmm. then, is a little challenging. But I make it work. I'm just going to make it work. I know for my age and how many years I've played guitar, I'm still in good shape. But I'm not the same, in the same way that a lot of the bands don't do the same.
Yeah, well, we all evolve. And so, what's new? You've got 3 solo albums.
Right.
Do you have a new solo album that you're contemplating?
Right. Well, I'd like to record actually with that cruise band that you made reference to. Because, could I prepare songs for another new solo record? I could, but I really do want to move on with those guys and try to record. I've done some recording with my wife, Lisa, who's a terrific singer. Right, yeah. And we performed together. I want to do more of that, too. We always put out a Christmas video every Christmas, but that I'm playing like standards. I'm not playing rock and roll, know, and I like showing that off because people are surprised that I can do that because it's a whole different, style. But and we talk about an EP for that. But in the sense of rock or BK4, the next record I would do, I really do want to work with those guys. So that's the goal later in the year, and then maybe there would be something to even offer, even if it's just an EP or a single on the cruise. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Bruce.
Thank you
for sitting with us today. If you're ever in Charlotte, around North Carolina, come to Guitar Wishes in Lincoln. We'd love to have you down there.
Excellent.
But thank you so much.
Good city. We were there with Seeger not long ago.
Yeah.
But make sure everyone knows BruceKulick.com. A fan actually gifted me that, a fan in Norway, because I used to be Kulick.net, which is still active because it has the archive of all the years of me being online with a website. But the new one's a little simpler, and it's great to have my name with the .com attached to it. Facebook, I'm very active, official Bruce Kulick, and it is me that looks at it. I do have people that help me when there's requests for things, but please keep in touch, and thank you so much. Okay,
thank you.
All right,
Take care.
All right.
Thanks so much for joining us. What a great time we had with Bruce. He's an incredible guy and just so down to earth and so nice. And you saw a little bit of his clinic there, but tomorrow you're going to see him really shred and really go all out in his clinic and tell some stories. So be sure and tune in for that. We got some other things coming up later in the week from the Guitar Expo that we were able to attend a few days ago. Again, be sure and like and subscribe to our channel. Smash that notification bell for more content uploaded daily. And we'll talk to you soon.